The doctor's words hung in the air like a death sentence. She won't make it through the night. His voice had been quiet, almost apologetic, but it cut through the ranch house like thunder. The young woman in the bed stirred, her breath shallow, her skin pale as moonlight. Sweat dampened her hair, clinging to her forehead. The fever had raged for days, leaving her body trembling beneath thin sheets. The cowboy sat in silence. Matthew Granger was no stranger to loss. He had buried parents, friends, and more than one partner out on the trail. But never had fear felt like this. Never had his chest ached the way it did as he looked at her. Her name was Clara. She had come west with dreams of teaching, of building a school in a town that barely had a saloon and a sheriff. He'd met her by chance on a supply run when her wagon wheel broke in the middle of the trail. She had smiled at him then, shy but bright, and something in him had shifted, something he thought he'd buried long ago. Now that smile was gone. The doctor packed his bag with a sigh, tipping his hat. "I'm sorry, son. She's too weak. All you can do is pray." And with that he left, the sound of his horse fading into the night. The cabin was quiet except for the ragged breaths of the woman on the bed and the steady crackle of the fire. Matthew pulled the chair closer, sitting at her side. His rough, calloused hands dwarfed hers as he took it gently in his grip. She was so light, so fragile, it was as if he feared she might vanish. Hours passed. The fever burned. Sometimes she muttered words in her sleep, broken fragments of prayers, or the names of children she had dreamed of teaching. And Matthew answered each one, his voice low, steady, unyielding. "I'm here. You're not alone. You hold on. Clara, you hold on." Outside, coyotes sang to the moon. Inside, a man refused to leave the side of the woman who had changed him. As the night deepened, exhaustion pressed heavy on his shoulders. His hat lay on the floor, his boots beside the bed. He sat in his shirt sleeves, hands clasped around hers, eyes fixed on her face. Memories kept him awake. Her laughter by the riverbank. Her voice when she read aloud from one of her books. The way she had teased him, calling him a stubborn mule when he pretended not to care. When she knew he cared too much, he whispered those memories to her now, as if his words could tether her spirit to this world. "Remember the river, Clara. You said the water was so clear you could see God's own reflection. You told me I ought to smile more. Said it made me less scary to the children. You always knew how to laugh in places no one else could find joy." Her lips parted, a faint sound escaping. He leaned closer, heart hammering. "Matt," he closed his eyes, fighting tears. "I'm here. I ain't leaving you." The hours crept on. Midnight passed, then 1, then 2. The fever still burned, her breath still shallow, but they did not stop, and Matthew never moved. At last, through the cracks in the shutters, a faint silver light crept in. Dawn was breaking, the world was waking. Clara stirred, her eyelids fluttering. Weakly, she turned her head toward him. For the first time in days, her eyes opened, faint, tired but alive. "Sunrise?" she whispered. Matthew's chest shook as he let out the breath he'd been holding for hours. He pressed his forehead to her hand, his voice breaking. "You made it." Her lips trembled into the faintest of smiles. "Told you, stubborn as you." The tears he had fought all night spilled freely, running into the lines of his weathered face. He kissed her hand gently, reverently, as if it were made of glass. The doctor had said she would die. But love, quiet, stubborn, unyielding, had sat beside her until morning. And sometimes that was enough to call a soul back from the edge. For Matthew, it was a sunrise he would never forget.